Welcome to TechieCast Jacks. Joe Holbrook here with Tech Commanders. I'm really excited to be talking about FinOps. Now, this is an area that is really just going out of control from a demand perspective. And I think there's a lot of dynamics on why that is. First, we have to understand that the current economic environment is really driving the interest in FinOps professionals. And one of the things I think that's important to also consider is that companies are always trying to be more efficient. And as a large enterprise with a very wide cloud deployment, being that you have terabytes of data, perhaps hundreds of different services you're using on different cloud platforms, this is an area that can be an immediate way to reduce your costs. And from my experience, it's so common to see companies have a lot of silos in place. And these silos sometimes are probably a good thing, and they were probably there for very good reason. But the challenge with silos is that we don't communicate with other teams. And it's fair to assume that one team in the possible area for improvement is willing to work together, but then when we look at other areas of improvement, when I say areas of improvement, what I mean are areas that we could reduce our costs, whether it is our virtual machine costs, our data services costs, or even other services such as security services, load balancing, or even subscriptions as well. So when it comes to really looking at the demand for FinOps, it's definitely being driven by the current environment. And it's also being driven by the fact that when you have different organizations that are part of the same organization, in other words, you have an enterprise with different business units, sometimes these organizations within the organization act like they're actually their own organization, and they don't want to work together. So the challenge here is, how do we get these different organizations, business units, departments, whatever you want to consider? Again, I've seen far and wide different approaches to how they handle this distribution of resource management, but you have to get people to work together. And if we're familiar with DevOps, it's really the same principle where we have development and operations. Now, generally, operations is really good at managing the production environment. However, development in a lot of areas is very good at managing their own environment, but they don't manage it the same way that operations would. In other words, development may not be worried about using the most efficient virtual machine. They're just worried about using the right virtual machine, that they don't have to worry about reducing resources or increasing resources immediately for whatever reason, to handle the peak workload instead of like the average, let's say. Now, because of that, we need to really think about development, operations, QA, test, right? All of these different business units are really in need to work together. That's just what we have to see. Now, another driver of FinOps is really focused on not only efficiency by reducing cost, but efficiency in using really solid frameworks and best practices such as either Agile, DevOps, QA-based processes, you name it. And as part of that, communication has to be stepped up. So that's really the second reason. The third reason that we typically will see FinOps be implemented is to really provide better visibility into where the resources are being used and how they're being basically used as well. So we look at it as more of a visibility or chargeback approach as well. Now, when it comes to FinOps and the professionals that manage these large environments as a FinOps professional, we need to realize that a FinOps professional on average, and I'm looking at the salary right now, it says on average is about $115,229 in the U.S. So that's not a bad salary, and that's an average salary. I've seen it certainly a little bit higher, and it's a really great role for someone that is really good at finance but also has some technical skills as well. However, those technical skills are not going to have to be really high. So you're using some finance, some technical skills, but also, importantly, is some management. Now, when I say management, typically FinOps professionals are not managers. They're more collaborators. So it's really about bringing people together. And I like to compare a FinOps professional to really being an awesome project manager. It's really just being able to look at the big picture holistically and say, okay, we could probably fix this a little bit better, or we could bring them into the party a little bit easier, as I like to say, and really just make things work smoother. In other words, try to reduce how long it takes to provision a VM, but also try to improve the cost of selecting the right virtual machine image the first time. So there's a lot of things that go into play. Another thing, too, that I think comes into play with FinOps is just understanding that cloud spending is a really easy area for companies to reduce spending, to reduce those operating costs that definitely can bring immediate value to the company when properly implemented. That's why the FinOps Professional certification, or I should say the FinOps Practitioner and the FinOps Professional, there's two certifications, are really in high demand. Now, for those that want to start out with FinOps, I would recommend you get into the FinOps Practitioner, and that is really no more than a 1-hour online test that you would take. And you can go ahead and study up on that. We have a lot of great resources for that exam on Tech Commanders, and definitely check out our courses as well and ebooks on that on various sites as well. But with that said, check out the Tech Commanders resources. Go to techcommanders.com and go ahead and look at the FinOps courses that we have, and also look for the ebook that we have on Amazon, and also check out our courses on other sites such as O'Reilly, Go One, etc. So with that said, I hope you really look into becoming a FinOps professional or a practitioner and really up the ante and help make yourself more valuable to your enterprise that you work for. Over and out. Have a great day.